Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and today we'll be looking at Sun City Center Community Association Board of Director candidates. Recently, I sent out 7 letters at the request of the current board to the candidates, asking them if they would like to participate in being in this program. I received 7 replies, 6 of which said they would like to be a part of the video. The 7th chose not to be in the video, but understand, each of us has to make a choice on how we want to best reach the voters. So it doesn't matter that someone chooses not to be here. However, those 6 were given a list of questions. Those questions are similar, and if not the same, as I've used several years before, asking questions about the community, where they live, where they started, how their business experience, things that they thought were important that you know. All candidates had the opportunity to strike any question they did not want to answer. Remember, they're only having 10 minutes. And my wife, Phyllis Hodges, being on camera, was very careful to give us good timing. If we went over or under, it's our fault. The candidates all were happy with the recordings when we finished. So that's the way it started out. The order in which they're shown was the order in which they called me for a timing. Most of them chose just to take the next open slot. In any case, each of them deserves great credit for running for this office, because it really takes anywhere from 25 to 50 hours a week in order to do the job properly. It's not an easy thing, and you don't get paid, and you completely get complained at constantly. So we decided to do the taping at a neutral facility. So we're going to go down from the office here to the Sun City Center Community Library and use the small conference room we've used in the past for these interviews. So here we go, interview number 1.
Go.
Hi, I am Bill Hodges, and this is another series of board candidates for the Sun City Center Community Association Board. And we're really lucky this year. We've got a number of candidates, and it'll be fun to see what each one has to say. Today, with this particular interview, we have Ron Clark. Ron, welcome to the community. Of course, you've been here for a long time. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, thank you very much, Bill, and thank you for the opportunity to speak directly to the voters of Sun City Center. I grew up in Trumbull, Connecticut, and prior to Sun City Center being my home, I moved to Hopkinton, Massachusetts, outside of Boston in 1984 with my wife, Nancy, and our 2 children. And Nancy and I are Trumbull High School sweethearts and married for 52 years. And my parents built a house here in Sun City Center on 721 Winterbrook Way back in 1996. And we started visiting them over the years and really fell in love with it. And my parents passed away, and in 2015, I became the sole owner of the property. And in 2017, I retired, and that's where my wife and I reside right now. Now, out of college, I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree from Clarkson University, MBA from University of Texas in Arlington, and I joined General Electric out of college. I was with them for 25 years in 7 different locations around the countryside.
Wow.
And in a variety of sales and marketing positions, and rose to what they call the executive band level. I left them in 1984 to start my own business, a sales rep agency. I hired people I knew in the industry, and we covered 6 New England states, upstate New York, selling electrical distribution equipment, those big heavy power products you see, those green boxes and such. And did that for 22 years, and I sold the business in 2017 and retired. So have a lot of good experience with GE, management training, management experience. I've been an entrepreneur, had to meet payroll, had to be the last person paid as the owner.
I've been there, done that, and that's no fun at all.
Yeah, I tell you. And lastly, but probably most important, in Hopkinton for 30 years, I was involved with volunteer town government, both elected and appointed positions. And I was elected to 2 3-year terms to the Board of Selectmen. Now, the Board of Selectmen act as the mayor of the town. Except for the school district, all the departments report to them. Police, fire, public works, water and sewer, CFO, town employees. And so we acted as the mayor to manage those different departments. And even though the school did not report to us, their budget was in the entire town budget that we developed and proposed the town meeting to approve. And the town had 15,000 residents, and it was a $50 million budget when I was there.
You know, you've been involved in a lot of things in Sun City Center. What are some of the things that you've been involved in?
Well, I've been elected to the softball board of directors and their treasurer. Belong to the United Methodist Church, also the New England Club, also the Calusa golf course as well.
You know, that group of people playing softball are some of the most intense people I've ever seen. I was an umpire for 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I came down here, did one game, and said, enough of this.
Yeah.
That is an intense group of people.
Yeah.
Being on the board of directors there must have been lots of fun.
Well, I'm still on it. I'm on the 3-person umpire committee and a 3-person rules committee.
Speaking of boards of directors,
Mm-hmm.
we've got a group of people who work very hard
Mhm.
as a board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
What areas have you been watching? And I know you've been watching because you were very active.
Mm-hmm.
What things would you change or would you do differently, or what issues do you see there?
Well, a couple of decisions they made that I would not go with. One was the spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on the proposed new building without first getting, they spent that on architectural drawings and project management help. And where I come from, you spend that, you get a vote from the community, you get buy-in from the community, approval from the community before you spend major money like that on a project. So I would look for that prior community shared vision, if you will. And also, I would not have summer votes. I mean, you got a lot of the snowbird people are gone in the summertime, not paying attention that much. You've got your full-time residents who also a lot of times travel in a couple months in the summertime to hit cooler areas. And so I think the summertime is a poor time to have a vote on major issues.
What then would you see your vision for the community is? What would you like to see happening?
Well, a lot of things. One is I think that we need to improve our transparency and our communication. I think we need to get more people involved in our government experience. When I was a selectman in Hopkinton, I developed this program that was quite successful. It was called Help Us Govern. The acronym was HUG. So I would propose to have a HUG Sun City Center where we would reach out and try to get more volunteers into our government, because we can't just have 9 people making decisions in closed door meetings. We have so much talent in this town with the retirees and life experiences that we need to use that talent to help us establish priorities and policies for our community. And I would also try to have develop a shared vision for our infrastructure, which is our buildings, our recreational areas. And we need to be balanced because we have some people use them a lot, some don't use them that much. There's got to be a good balance, a good shared vision. I like the idea of using the capital fund as the revenue stream mechanism for this infrastructure improvement. And bottom line is we need to keep Sun City Center as a desirable community to move to. Not only for protecting our property values, but for our own self-worth as far as enjoying the facilities. And we don't have a major builder or major developer trying to encourage people to come to this area. So we need to be on top of doing that ourselves. And for instance, we need more restaurants running, more restaurant choices. And so I would try to reach out to local business people to try to encourage more restaurants to come into the general area.
You know, that's been something that a lot of people have talked about for a lot of years.
Yes, it sure has, hasn't it?
And maybe they are creeping down
Yeah.
our way.
Yeah.
And that's maybe very important.
Yeah.
What would you think that would be the most important things that you would bring to the board?
Well, I think there's several things that I would bring to the board. One is I would provide responsive leadership. I'm fiscally responsible. I think I listen well, and I would work to develop a shared vision for our community. Listen to the input from the residents. Use the HUG Sun City Center program. I think I make good decisions, and as a selectman, I led an effort in Hopkinton to restructure our town government and to make it more effective. And I see opportunities here to make our government more effective, primarily through increased transparency and communication. So with my experience, I would work to help make Sun City Center a better community for all our residents. And so I would ask for your vote in the upcoming election.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you really would like to say?
No, I think I've hit the major points that I'm focusing on for my campaign.
And you have a family living here?
Oh
Your
yeah,
wife?
my wife, Nancy Clark, 52 years of marriage, and she's involved with the tennis, very heavy, the competitive tennis group, and as well as...
That's kept her active?
That's kept her active. The two of us
And
are
of
also...
course, you do softball, so
Yeah,
obviously.
I do softball, tennis, and golf, and she does tennis and golf, and we're also coordinators of the monthly party at the Calusa Golf Club.
Oh, so you're a golfer too?
Yeah.
I heard you were on their board, so I assumed that was the case.
No, I'm not on their board.
Or were.
I'm a bad golfer, but I'm a golfer. I'm a duffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Sun City Center candidate for the Board of Directors of the Community Association, Mr. Ron Clark. Ron, thank you for being with us. I appreciate your being here.
Yep. Thank you very much.
And we'll now go on to the very next candidate. Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and this is one of the board interviews for the Sun City Center Community Association. We have with us today Jim Collins. Jim, what a pleasure to have you on the show.
It's good to be here, Bill.
Let's find out a little bit about Jim.
Okay.
Where did you come from before you came to Sun City Center? How long you've been here? Tell us just a little bit how you are part of the community.
Well, I grew up in Connecticut, and I moved around a lot because I was active duty military with the Army Reserve. So I spent a lot of time moving around the United States, New York City, believe it or not, Springfield, Missouri, Columbus, Ohio.
And the communists didn't take it over, so you must have done a good job.
That's right, we protected, yeah, we did. I retired from Fort McCoy, Wisconsin because it's way too cold up there. And I found a really nice place in Palm Harbor, Florida when we first moved to Florida. So, and we've been here for since 1997, a lot of years.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in town do you live?
We live in the original part of Sun City Center where Del Webb first started building homes here. In fact, my home was built when I was a sophomore in high school in 1963. Sturdy little home, we're very happy there.
You're just a young guy, 63 sophomore, you 65 graduation?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow, you're just one of our younger people
Yeah.
living here. I'm sure, because I've seen you there, you've been following the actions of the board
Yes,
and
I
what
have.
the board is doing.
Mhm.
What are some of the things you like and maybe things that you'd like to see changed as far as what the board has done over the past few years?
Well, let me tell you what I like about the current board first. Their response, excuse me, to COVID-19 has been excellent. When it first broke over a year and a half ago,
Yeah, early 2020.
right, they came out with a plan to shut down the campus. And they asked the clubs to come up with their own plan to shut it down. So they were quick to respond. And then when the vaccines became available, they got those vaccines out. In fact, they're doing a booster shot this week, similar to the ones, the vaccines when they first came out. And because of their efforts, we have the lowest infection rate by far in the surrounding area. So kudos to them. They did a lot of good protecting the most vulnerable among us.
And that's really great.
It was.
I was one of the, of course, I go to the VA and maybe you do also.
Right.
But I got my shot up there, but my wife got her shot at the same time.
Yeah. So board did a good job on that. They did. Now, some of the things I don't like, they have a closed door policy regarding their workshops and some meetings. The board meets 4 Mondays a month. 3 of those meetings are closed to the membership. You can't attend unless you're invited in, It's a private discussion, debate on the issues they think are important. I don't like that.
So you'd like to see that all of them be open?
I'd like to see all of them be open. Just
Okay.
like the state has a sunshine law, it doesn't apply to private corporations. Well, actually it does in a roundabout way, but that's what I'd like to see. Open meetings where the membership can come in, observe what the debate's going on. They can tell who is smart on the board, who is not, just by the debate they observe. So, and I think if you close the meetings, it disconnects you from the people you're there to serve. The membership is why those board members are there, to represent the membership.
Absolutely.
And closing them out, not a good idea.
You know, many people don't realize how many hours that it takes to be a board member. I know you do, but it's between 30 and 50 hours a week.
Yes, it's a lot of hours.
That's a lot of work. And a lot of people think, well, I could be a board member. Yeah, are you willing to do that for free?
Yeah, yeah. And you're right, all for free, all dedicated to serving the community. So, yeah, a lot of work.
What is your vision for the community? What would you really like to see Sun City Center become or extend to?
Well, as I said, I'd like to see a sunshine policy passed.
Okay.
I'd like to see more involvement from the community. And it's
Boy,
hard.
all of us would like that.
And it's hard to do. I think you could do some things to promote it. For example, if we had a registry of retirees that come into the community as new members, we could draw on that registry, and we have a wealth of smart retirees that live here. We have
You sure do.
business owners, we have executives in large corporations, we have military leaders who are retired here. All of those have spent their careers solving problems. So I think we could draw on them to make our community better and better solutions for the issues we face.
Yeah, I think that somebody once said this is a community of chiefs.
Yeah.
There are a few Indians.
Yeah.
Most of the people had really good, hard choice jobs that
Yeah.
they had to do.
Yeah.
And I really like that idea of having a registry of some of the things that people are maybe willing to do. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else would you like to see for the community?
Well, off the top of my head, I can't really think of, well, I know one other thing I'd like to see is an annual survey of members. If the board is elected to serve the membership, they have to ask the membership, what do you want us to be working on? What should we be pursuing on your behalf? And if you don't do that, you run the risk of getting tunnel vision, where the board thinks, well, here's what they want. Not necessarily. So I think an annual survey where you're asking, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? How could we improve? That would be a good way of staying connected with the community, I think.
Our neighboring community that we are sort of very close to is very, very deep in debt.
Yes,
We are not.
correct.
How do you feel about building projects and the possibility of having to borrow some money against what we have coming in versus not doing anything until you have the money?
Well, I'm a big believer in no debt. My wife and I are fiscally conservative. We have no debt. But, you know, if we had to go into debt and I can't think of any reason why we would right now, but if we had to go into debt, I would prefer to have a bond issue where members could buy a bond. I know I
Well,
would
that's
buy-
a great idea,
Yeah, that was brought up at one of the town hall meetings. I thought it was a good idea.
especially at the interest rates we're getting at the bank.
Right. As opposed to a non-recourse loan, which was proposed for this new building. But I would prefer a bond issue.
My guest is Jim Collins. Jim, we've got about a minute to go. What did I not ask you that you would like me to ask you?
I can't think of anything, Bill. That was very thorough. Your questions that you gave us were very thorough. What I'd like to say is if you vote for me, I will work at opening up the closed-door board meetings. I will continually ask for your input on how we're doing and what, excuse me, what you would like us to pursue on your behalf. And I'd work really hard to make that happen.
Just out of curiosity, because I know that you're with softball.
Mm-hmm.
What other things in the community have you been since, what, 97 you say?
Well, I've been in Sun City Center since 2017.
2017,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
What other things might you have been involved?
I'm a member of the men's club. We just served a whole bunch of pork chops.
Yes, you
I don't know if
did.
you ate any
At
of those.
Fun Fest, at
Yeah,
Fall Fest,
yeah.
that's true.
I'm also a member of Lifeline. I'm a Lifeline installer. I've been on hiatus since the pandemic, but I'm going back to work this week probably. And I play volleyball occasionally. And I go to the gym almost every day.
You
I like the
still
gym.
look pretty active.
Yeah,
I mean, you look in good
I like to
shape.
stay active, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest here has been Jim Collins. Jim is a candidate for the Board of Directors of Sun City Center Community Association. Jim, we appreciate your coming in and talking with us today. And we'll now go on to the next candidate.
Sounds
Thanks for
good,
being
Bill.
here.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Hi, I am Bill Hodges, and this is another of a series of interviews with those running for the Board of Directors of the Sun City Center Community Association. This particular interview is with Mr. Larry Smith. Larry, great to see you.
Good morning, Bill. Good to see you.
Larry, you've been around Sun City Center for some time. I know I've seen you in lots of different places and doing lots of different things. But what about your background? Where do you come from? Do you come from up north like everybody else does?
Well, I tell people that I did. I come from New Jersey,
Oh.
but that was in 1958.
Wow.
I've been in Tampa.
So you're I
for a
graduated from
long
high
time.
school.
I went to Plant High School, attended USF, all of those same things. I've been in this area, as I said, it's been almost 60 years now. So I grew up in this area.
What kind of business experience do you have?
Well, the major thing is that I had a tool and equipment rental business called Handyman Rental, where I dealt right with the public. It gave a lot of people an opportunity to use equipment that they don't normally have. So it was something that I had a lot of dealing with people and answering questions and giving them instructions on how to use different things.
You also did some other public service, did you not?
I was in 1987 to 1991. I was on Tampa City Council, and when I was on the council, I was also chairman of their finance committee. I had the opportunity to work with a relatively large staff. City of Tampa is a pretty big city, and work on some specific projects that I was very happy to be able to see completed.
How long have you been here in Sun City Center?
Moved to Sun City Center in 2015. My parents actually moved to this area, into the Sun City Center area, in 1982 until 2000. I joined the Community Association as a member in 2015.
You know, my father always made the statement, if two people agreed on everything, there wasn't any need for one of them. And I know you currently serve on the Sun City Center board, that you're looking to be reelected. What are some of the things that you've seen on the board that you particularly liked, and maybe some of the things you've disagreed with?
Now, Bill, there were a number of things that we have worked with, and quite frankly, I've worked with a number of boards in a number of different situations, whether it was the City of Tampa or the South Tampa Chamber of Commerce, where we did things with a board, and that board discusses things. It may argue about things, and it may debate things, but they need to make a decision on what they want to do. This is one of the best boards that I've ever worked with that had that give and take, talk about it, come up with a decision. Been a lot of things that we've talked about that may or may not be possible to benefit the community as a whole.
What are some of those things that you feel strongly you'd like to see
in the future?
Bill, we've got a number of projects in mind, and the biggest thing is that some of our buildings are over 60 years old. They were built not for the long term, but they were by the developer to get things done. So they don't last as long as we'd like. We've done what we can to keep them up. I think we've done a great job on maintenance, but a number of the buildings are beginning to be and feel old. I work at the information center and greet a lot of new people coming to our community. They think our community looks great, and to keep it that way, we do need to build some new buildings to replace the things that are over 60 years old.
You know, it's interesting. I remember when we went through the same problem with building something new with our offices.
I was here and listened to a lot of that information, and it was available, but it takes time and effort for a member to be able to spend that time. And your board spends a lot of time talking about things. The buildings that were in the office were over 60 years old. They were literally homes that were relocated, and they were placed there as structures, and they had outlived their usefulness.
They were sitting on a 6-foot hole that the floor could have fallen through any minute.
It was by design, the way that it was, and we don't have sinkholes or problems like that in this area, but they were not up to what we wanted for today. Most of our residents would love to have very accessible, specifically we talk about ADA modifications. Well, modifying an old building still gives us an old building that has been modified. And many times it's just not as usable as it would be if we designed it from the beginning.
Or the insurance rates.
Insurance rates, maintenance costs. And we're talking about maintenance, not just the utilities, but the time that it takes and the pet staff that spends time having to make repairs. And that takes money also. Now, we've been fortunate. We've been keeping our dues the most competitive in the country. I don't want to use the word cheap, but if you realize that the YMCA, just to have a membership for a pool and a fitness center for an adult senior, right now is $55 a month. That's
Wow.
over $600 a year.
And we've got all
And
that.
we've got all that, not to mention our pickleball courts, tennis courts, the softball field, the sawdust engineers, all the things that we maintain. Over 6,000 of our membership uses our facilities, and some of them use it daily. So there's a lot of wear and tear, and it benefits the biggest majority of our membership.
What is your vision for Sun City Center? Where do you want to see it positioned?
Sun City Center has built itself on the clubs. Okay, I got a little prejudice there. I've been club liaison director. I've worked with the clubs. I'm involved with a number of clubs. And when we do surveys or studies, that different terminology, but we've done surveys where we've asked, and actually for quite a few years, quite a few different surveys, clubs are what makes this community. Some of the clubs are no longer as popular, but we have new clubs starting all the time. And as an example, we just started a new club, Baggin' and Braggin', that's going to be a beanbag toss. That's going to work in coordination with another club. We have the facilities. We're going to enhance those facilities a little bit to take that membership. And it's that's the things that I see are building up all of our clubs.
The things that you've talked about, they all cost money. One of the things that we look at is one of our neighboring communities is already, someone told me, $64 million in debt, and don't have near what we have to offer to our people. When we build a new building, recently it was talked about the possibility of having to borrow some money into the future in order to get the best rate on that building. How do you feel about that?
We have an opportunity here. Our home sales fund a fund that we have that is restricted to construction of new projects. That fund is a steady stream of income and allows us to be able to build these buildings without overburdening our residents. What we do have is a desire that a group of people, and I can't tell you how many, would like to see us, and then we can't disagree, that we'd like to have a Walt Disney World Resort here. The question is how can we possibly afford that and keep a reasonable rate? I've been debt-free for over 10 years. I enjoy being debt-free, but I have to admit, as a business owner, I leveraged everything I had to be able to grow my business and to be able to, when I retired in 2000 and sold and liquidated my business, to be able to retire and come to Sun City Center. So it's a delicate balance of what you can do and how you can do it. And I'm open to how we can continue to advance the community and keep it in the shape that it's in and make improvements as we see and are affordable.
We're down to about 1 minute, and I'm sure there are questions I haven't asked you about issues that you'd like to speak on. So you have about a minute to talk to the people. Yeah, just about a minute
I
to
got
talk
it.
to the people.
I got it. No, I'd like to thank the residents who have allowed me to represent them, and I have really enjoyed the opportunity to talk with them. I would like to serve another 3 years as a board member. I enjoy what I'm doing, and I would like to ask the membership for your support and to tell your neighbors this is what we've been doing. And I'd ask you for your vote. November 30th and December 1st are the days that you can vote in person. There will be a ballot in the News of Sun City. The News of Sun City is our official publication to get news. We're also trying to enhance our website, direct mail, electronic medias, every way we can to get as much information out as long as we can.
My guest has been Larry Smith. Larry, I thank you for coming on the show with us and telling the people why they should elect Larry Smith and giving us some ideas about what you believe, as many of our candidates have. So thank you for being here.
Bill, I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate those of you that are watching this video. So thank you, and thank you.
We'll be right back with the next candidate. Hi, I am Bill Hodges, and this is one of our interviews for those running for the Sun City Center Community Association Board. With me today, I have Roger Zig. Roger, what a pleasure to have you on the program with us.
Thank you, Bill.
Tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you come from? What kind of work did you do? What kind of education do you have in the background?
Well, my wife and I lived and worked in the Washington, D.C. area for 20-some years. We
My condolences.
we raised our kids there. We migrated to Charlottesville, Virginia. Just got too congested up in the D.C. area. And we moved down here and became residents probably back in 2008. We live on Platinum Drive on the south end of the community.
What kind of work did you do while you were in Washington?
Well, I was in the engineering department of the Fairfax County Water Authority.
Oh, really?
Right. I supervised about 30 technical people where we developed the plans and specifications for the authority's capital improvement projects. Somewhere later in life, I guess, when I was working up there, I transferred to the customer service department. I took over responsibility for our 200,000 customers and 4 major retail customers.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. I retired in 1999 at the age 50.
Wow, that's even better.
Yeah. When I say retired, I got recruited by the Fairfax County Department of Public Schools.
Oh,
We built, they asked me to perform inspection services on their new construction buildings that they had going up and their renovation projects. I'm not sure how many schools they had, probably over several hundred. So my first school was a middle school. I worked it from the ground prep up to the final construction phase. And from there I moved to 5 renovation projects where I worked on elementary schools, and then progressed up to complex high school projects.
Well, you have a real background in building and construction.
Right.
Tell me,
One more thing I would bring up is that when we moved to Charlottesville, I again got recruited by a TEC engineering company. The project manager there knew me, brought me on as an inspector. They had a big contract with the military. We performed, there was a team of us, 4 or 5 people, and we performed building condition assessments for U.S. Air Force and the Coast Guard. I worked there another 3 years before we actually came down here, and I quit the working end of the job.
so 50 was just a first retirement.
Exactly.
What do you feel that you bring to our board of directors if you're on that board?
Well, my construction background, a lot of background with the Water Authority in developing our capital improvement projects, estimating them, that type of thing.
Are there any things that you've watched over the past year, 2 years, 5 years, that on the board you'd like to see go differently, or are there things that you think they did very well?
Well, the board's got a tough job. They've got responsibility to 12,000 or so citizens. They've got
Customers is a good thing.
customers also, and clubs. They've got, well over 100 clubs that they're responsible to, providing facilities, places where they can meet, that type of thing. So that, I guess, was some of the issues I saw, with the board. The other thing I feel is that the community is always kind of changing, evolving. When we first came here, or visited here, my parents bought a house
really?
back in the early 80s.
So you're second generation.
Oh yeah. My aunts and uncles followed. We had my parents and relatives here. We actually vacationed here starting back in the early 80s. I played golf on the North Course. The North Course is now gone.
No, it's gone.
A lot of the other golf courses are gone. I've seen a lot of change. I know the community built a new building. Apple Computer Club was in the building. They have since gone. A lot of new clubs are coming around. Since we've been here, probably pickleball, archery. I know the cornhole group just started. It just seems like it's ever evolving, and we need to be ready to meet the changing needs of the community and the citizens.
And the board needs to be flexible.
Exactly. And our plans need to be flexible. I think the community needs to consider a little bit better of our facilities management also.
Okay.
I am president of the billiards club. As the president of the billiards club for the past 5 years, for about 4 years, we lived with a roof that leaked constantly in the billiards room. We were given 5-gallon buckets.
Not good for felt tables.
We moved them around to catch the rainwater when it started raining. We brought that up to the board, and finally, after 4 years and them giving us more buckets every year, we ended up getting the roof replaced. So that was, I guess an issue that I thought probably ought to be addressed a little bit easier, the maintenance of our actual facilities in the community. The other thing is the transfer fee. The transfer fee appears to be kind of lopsided for the low priced homes versus the high priced homes. I think we ought to consider using a basis for that for the sale price of the home. rather than a flat rate across the board. I think this will improve the sales of our smaller, lower income houses.
So if you look into the future,
Right.
long-term, what are the things you think we should do?
Well, I think we need a master plan for the community, a long-term master plan. I think we need to have, be looking at what we're gonna build, where we're gonna build it, and even possibly buy up some of the property or houses that are close to the north area here so that we can expand.
Well, that's an interesting thought. I don't think anybody's brought that up before, buying some of the local properties to expand.
Yep, right across from the arts, or next to the arts building, across from the Billiards Club, there's houses that front on our property, which probably, you know, should be kind of segregated from that, but I don't know whether we'll have the opportunity to do that or not.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you would like me to ask?
Well, our debt-free, I guess, posture in the community. I like it. If you look on the visitors portion of the web, there's a page for what we're planning or what the community does. It says debt-free. I don't believe the board took that seriously, and that's what part of the reason why the approval of the budget for the building was not approved.
And your billiards club lost the opportunity for a new place to be, right?
Well,
Without leaks.
that's true, but it's got a new roof, and frankly, we are satisfied in our location.
It's nice to have people like yourself who are willing to step forward and be part of our community by serving. Is there any one thing that you would like to see, if you could wave your wand, that we would be able to do?
Frankly, no, I don't think at any one time you can pick something that you want to do. I think it's a long-term evolution in this community, and it's going to take boards from now on to go ahead and determine what, you know, what needs, how we need to shift, how we need to meet the community needs.
With planning and continuity.
Exactly.
I thank you so much. My guest has been Roger Zig, who is running for the board of directors of the Sun City Center Community Association. And Roger, I thank you so much for doing this, because we need good leadership, without a doubt. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Bill.
And we'll talk to you very soon on the next broadcast. Hi, I am Bill Hodges, and this is another of our board interviews for the Sun City Center Community Association Board. With me today, I have Fred Harangvi. And Fred, it's great to have you on the program.
My pleasure, thank you.
Everybody will know your name now.
I guess so. Yeah. Appreciate it, thank you.
How long have you lived in Sun City Center?
Actually, I'm kind of a newbie here. I've been here about 14 months. My wife talked me into moving to Sun City, and when I drove in here, I get the wow factor. I said, wow, this is amazing. And next thing I know, I'm moving in. So I've been here about 14 to 16 months, and my wife and I are very involved, or try to be involved in community activities. She's on the board for the Calusa Ponds 2. I'm also a volunteer captain for the security patrol, and I try to help them out best I can. So I don't know what I'm going to volunteer for later, but I'm a little cautious as I don't overburden myself on too many responsibilities.
Fred, what kind of background do you have? Education, work-wise?
Actually, I've got a kind of a weird background.
That's like me. Yeah, go ahead.
My parents immigrated from Budapest, Hungary back in 1956 during the Hungarian Revolution. I don't know if a lot of people remember that. But we immigrated here. We ended up in Chicago. And I grew up in Chicago. I went to Wharton Tech High School. I later graduated Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University with an MBA. I was an air traffic controller for 21 years. I also worked for Ford Motor Company, not the leadership at the Ford Motor Company, as one of their finance officers. Funny thing, after I retired, I had no intention of doing any strenuous work, but this condominium that I lived in, the manager said, "Fred, would you take over maintenance?" I said, "What? I don't want to take over maintenance. Are you out of your mind?" I ended up working there for 11 years. I enjoy it thoroughly, so it gives you a very good background about maintenance, about finance, about business. So I have a pretty good, very broad career.
An MBA that can handle a hammer and saw, huh?
I'm an MBA with a hammer and saw, you're right. Yeah.
You know, the interesting thing there you talked about was being an air controller, and of course, as a pilot, I've dealt with a lot of you air controllers, but that's a really stressful position.
It is very stressful, but I loved it. To me, it was like a video game, only it was real. You have to be very cautious. The adrenaline rush was unbelievable. I loved it, you know. But I spent not just controlling traffic. I pushed metal for about 11 years, and then got into what they call terminal instrument procedures. I don't know if you're familiar. The books that just fly. I designed those. I also designed the airways also that the airliners fly.
Really?
I did that. And then I was also on the IG, Inspector General, FAA Inspector, I did that for about 4 or 5 years. Okay. So I have a broad range of air traffic control. I'm very proud of it. I loved it, and I would do it again tomorrow.
Well, you've been here now 14 months,
Yes.
and you've had a chance to see what our board has been doing.
Yes.
What are the things that the board has been doing that you particularly like, and if you had been sitting on that board, what you might have done different?
Overall, in the limited knowledge, and I don't know the numbers that well, the board overall, I think, is doing a very thorough, very good job. I really, really do. Some of the issues they bring up, they take care of. They answer the people. They're very mindful. They don't forget. Their meetings are very fruitful and a lot full of information. So I'm all for it so far. I think they're doing a great job.
You know, everybody has their own look at a board, and
Absolutely.
the
Well,
boards, I look at these people, and many of them I know very well, and they're spending anywhere from 24 to 50 hours a week doing that job, and it doesn't pay anything. Are you
Well,
willing to do that?
It is a dedicated position, that's true, and you've got to put some time in it. But I look at it this way: I've had a good career. I love the United States. I can't say enough about it. It's time for me to give back a little bit. So what I'm offering is fresh blood, new ideas, and most of all, I'm listening to you. I want to hear what you got to say.
You know, interesting you should say that, because the next question I was going to ask you is, having been here only 14 months, what are the things you'd like to see for the future here?
Well, there's been some changes. I'd like, how can I put this? 674 was fixed. I really enjoyed that. Of course, they worked on 301. Okay. There was some controversy over the building a new building, which didn't go through. I know that. I know they fixed the pool, and there's other projects that are underway. I don't know exactly what they are. I didn't get a chance to go over them. But if we're not going to build a new building, and if there's no major improvements, I think we should continue to perpetuate what we have, maintain it the best we can, and that alone will attract a lot of people.
You know, that's very important, attracting people. You know, you said, as we talked before broadcast, you were talking about driving down 75 and seeing a sign that said Sun City Center.
Right.
And saying, oh, okay, and going on. What do you think we can do to attract people to Sun City Center?
During my candidacy, I try to talk to people as much as possible. And by and large, a lot of people that I spoke to didn't think they're going to move to Sun City. And they all went to all these other communities, and they end up in Sun Center and they come back. As a matter of fact, I had a person I was training on a security patrol the other day, and they came from Texas. Well, we've been in Florida many, many times, and I never really looked at Sun City, but once I did, I'm here. I'm not moving anywhere. And you have so much, these type of people that come by here all the time from different various states and things like that, and a lot. They come from Boston, they come from New York, they come from Chicago, they come from Indianapolis, they have all these, so once they actually see it, they're attracted. We have a lot of real estate people here. We average, I believe, 27 to 28 sales a month. I think that's the average, I'm not sure.
Sometimes into the 30s.
And when I bought my house, I remember, I looked at it and it did not last more than 2 weeks. It was gone. So people are buying houses here, so I don't think you need a whole lot of magazine advertising and what have you. I don't think, because the place sells itself. It's like I said, the wow factor. When I came in here, I was like, wow. And that alone, right there, that alone will attract a lot of people.
I had a friend over in Valencia Lakes, I'll say it. They said after they bought over there and they came over to visit some friends over here, they wished they'd have been here with all of our clubs.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Yeah.
We've got a lot of clubs. How do you feel about the clubs?
We have 143 clubs. That, I've never heard of that many clubs anywhere. But if the people are participating, I am all for it. Perpetuate this wonderful environment, and let the people enjoy their life.
Fred, we're coming down to the last minute or so of the program.
Yes.
And what I'd like you to do is to take and talk with the audience about anything you want to talk about. We've got about a minute and a half. Fred Harangi.
My pleasure. What I would like to get out to the people, okay, as I said earlier, okay, I bring new blood. I bring new ideas. Don't be afraid to talk to me. I'm an open forum person. And if you don't like something, please bring it up. It's important because you pay the dues. We work for you, okay? And it's very, very important that we hear from all of you. I would like the streets get better. Of course, it's a county thing. I don't know when they're going to do that. But as you can see, there are some improvements, some beautiful houses here. We need to keep that up. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the program.
My pleasure.
Fred Harangi, I wish you luck.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with one more candidate. Hi, I am Bill Hodges, and this is another one of the interviews for the Sun City Center Community Association Board of Directors, and I have Vince Lopez with me. Vince, we've been together through this at least once before. You're a pro at this.
I don't know if I'm a good pro, but I've had my bites on it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your background.
I'm a native of Florida, born and raised in Ybor City. I still have great connections in Ybor City. That's my home, pretty much.
You are very active in town here, but tell us a little bit about your business background. What did you do prior to coming to Sun City Center, or retirement, or maybe you still have an activity going on?
Well, I just retired from the school system, serving Hillsborough County and Pinellas County for 27 years.
Wow.
So I've started from K. I went all the way up to 12th grade and became an administrator the last 10 years of my career.
You've been here for how long in Sun City Center?
I've been here since 2014.
Tell me a little bit about what you've done since 2014.
Well, we've
And
done
remember, we only have 10 minutes.
we have done quite a bit. First of all, when I moved here, I say within the first 6 months, we got together with a couple of residents here, and we established the Multicultural Club Heritage here. That we're doing very well. We have approximately over 125 members at the present time.
Oh, wonderful.
And people are seeing that we are a diverse, inclusive organization. And we do quite a few things. We give to the surrounding public. For example, the kids out in Waimama Elementary. We support the trafficking group there that we try to give. We support Guadalupe, the nuns there at Guadalupe. We also even we had a big dance that's coming up this past 2 weeks ago that we gave and shared about $1,000 to the
Wow, that's
emergency
nice.
services.
That's
Because
great.
we feel that the emergency services is a great program for our community to serve in the need of help.
You serve as an officer in some clubs, do you not?
I do. I'm at the present time, I'm the president-elect for the men's club. Hopefully they will vote me in on this coming November for the presidents. And like I said, the men's club has done so many good things here for 60 years. And I believe in that organization just as well as I believe in everything that I do. Because I don't try to get into something that I don't believe in.
Well, it's pretty hard to do. Although some people, you think, at least in our political structure, can do that
Yes,
for money.
yes.
They believe in money.
This is no gratitude of money. I'm not going to get rich off of
No,
this.
you are not. Talking about political structure, you have been going to board meetings, I know.
Yes.
You've been watching the board.
Yes.
Over the past few years, what have you saw that you liked about what the board has done? And what are some of the things you maybe would do differently or think could be improved on?
Well, I just think the first thing is basically being open and inclusive. I think the boards have, past and present, have done some good things. They have shared some good things, but I really think that when you have good open communication to the entire community and embrace the thoughts of all who are in the community, we're not going to please everyone. But it's how we can put everyone together and come to a medium point to agree on a major project or a short-term project. It's how we can put them together and say, hey, this is best for the community. And again, as serving on several boards, HOAs and condo association boards, that's one of the things that I think I can bring to help here in Sun City. Because for what I see and hear and see on all mass media, you got to take one side or the other.
Yeah, I kind of hate that.
You know, I'm pretty much down the road. I will be down the road because what's best for the entire community and start looking at long-term projects. What we can do for the next, because again, we are in a retirement phase. Sooner or later, we're going to move to the next transition. And
No voting there.
there is.
At least I'm aware of.
Exactly. So we have to really start laying the groundwork for new folks who are coming in and then getting their opinion. Because right now we are selling approximately 87 homes a month, and a lot of them are newcomers, 55 and 60 years old.
Many of them working,
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
which is a different thing for us.
Exactly. We are still can watch Judge Judy for a while and take a 2 o'clock nap if we have to. But on a serious end, we just need to be more transparent. I said this a year ago, and I will stand by that. Is to be more transparent to the community and not try to force things down their throat. Let them decide what we want to do.
What do you see long-term for this community? We don't have a builder anymore, obviously, so we have to
can't
promote
build anymore.
ourselves.
We cannot build anymore. The thing that I look at, what can we do what we have to make it more attractive to those who come in and those who are here? And again, that's where I feel that all segment of the community needs to have an input. And basically they need to have an input, and plus we need to hear, and I say we, as part, if I become part of the board, is to listen to what that is and try to see how we can start setting aside some folks in committees and things of that nature to do so.
One of our sister communities is about, from what I understand, $64 million in debt. Now, don't bother me if it's a nickel this way or nickel that. We don't have any debt,
Correct.
but most of us bought a house on credit.
Correct.
How do you stand on buying things and having limited credit?
Well, if you have limited credit, If you have limited credit, you're going to be limited period. But credit is not bad. Credit is not bad. I understand the philosophy that we have here in Sun City is debt free. Okay, pay as we go. Okay, I can live with that because I budget my house in the same manner. Okay, I want to pay as what I receive, but we got to look at what are the capital improvements we want to make, because some things you're not going to have it in the pay as we go mode. So I suggest that we need to be open-minded to what we are going to do and then plan for what we are doing.
Sounds interesting to me, if we can make that happen.
Yes, that's the magical trick.
Well, we're down to about a minute, and with that, I'd like to ask Vince Lopez. Vince, do you have something you'd like to share that I haven't asked you?
Well, I just want to tell the community this and this. I am eager to serve this community as a resident of Sun City Center, as a native of Florida. I just believe that we have so much that we can do to make this a continuance of what Sun City has been for the last 60 years.
Well, I think that's great, and with that wow factor,
Yes. Get that wow factor in there, but we still, again, I believe solely that we have to have everyone inclusive and to make it great. And it's good as it is now, but it can be better.
it can always be better. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bill Hodges. This has been an interview with Vince Lopez. Vince is a candidate for the Sun City Center Community Association Board. This will be the last of the interviews for this, and I hope you've enjoyed them. Do go back with video. You can always scan back, scan forward, watch some over. I think you'll find this very important, and you'll get a better opportunity to vote with that. Thank you so much. We'll catch you again, maybe next year.